Okay, so for question 3, we're given a lot of information, but essentially we're asked to calculate the WACC debt, the WACC equity, and the WACC itself. And then we are given that for our debt, we have 1/3, which has a cost of 11%. So 1/3 of our debt consists of this thing, right, which has a cost of 11%, and then 2/3 of it is split into multiple different avenues. So this 2/3 is distributed accordingly. So 1/8 of this 2/3 is 14%, 1/4 of this 2/3 is 15%, and the rest is 15%, right? So basically, what this means is our debt, right? We can put that in a big box like so. So this is our total debt, right? And we're given off the bat that 1/3 of this has a cost of 11%, right? And then the rest of it is distributed in this manner, right? So the remaining 2/3 consists of this stuff, right? So 1/8 of the remaining 2/3 has a cost of 14%, and then 1/4 of the remaining 2/3 has a cost of 15%, and then the rest has a cost of 15% as well, right? And when calculating the WACC, what we do is we multiply the weighting by the cost. So yeah, it's the weighted average of everything, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the weighting of this cost over here to the cost, right there, sure. Then we're going to add to that this weighting over here, right? So the remaining 2/3 of the debt is distributed. So this 14% makes up 1/8 of this 2/3, right? So its actual weighting is going to be 2/3 multiplied by 1/8, right? And then same goes for this 15%. So this 15% consists of 1/4 of this 2/3. So its actual weighting is 2/3 times 1/4, and so on and so forth. If you didn't really get that, it's fine. I guess an easier way to do this question is since you have this total weighting over here, we're told that 1/3 of the debt has a cost of 11%, and then this 2/3 is broken up, right? So this number here multiplies into that one. This number is going to multiply into this one, but then we need to fix these numbers here. So this number is going to multiply into that one, this one multiplies into that one, this one multiplies into that one, and this multiplies into all of these. So yeah, this one multiplies into that one. So the weighting for the 14%, you multiply the 14% by its weight, and then you multiply that by its overall weight, which is 2/3. Yeah, and then you just add those together. I hope that kind of makes sense, right? So that's for the debt, the WACC debt. And then the WACC equity, we're told that 1/8 of the equity has a cost of 3%, and then 7/8 has a cost of 2%, right? So we multiply this weighting by its cost. So it's 1/8 times 3 plus 7/8 times 2, right? And then the total WACC is going to be the weighting of the debt multiplied by the WACC debt. So yeah, this is the weighting of the debt multiplied by the WACC debt, and then the weighting of the WACC equity multiplied by the WACC equity. So to get the weighting of each one, we need to kind of dissect this debt to equity ratio. So we're told that the debt to equity ratio is 8/10. So the debt makes up 8 parts and the equity makes up 10 parts. So equity in the denominator is 10, right? Debt on the numerator, 8 is on the numerator. So the debt makes up 8 parts, equity makes up 10 parts. Then to get the weight, we're going to say, to get the weight of the debt, we're going to say the debt divided by the total, which is going to be 10 plus 8. So it's going to give you 8/18. And then the equity is going to be 10 divided by 18. So that's how we got these parts over here. And then it's just multiplied by the WACC for each one. Then that gives you a total WACC. Cool. And then for part B, we're told that a BSS student was able to secure a 30-year 400,000, 30-year long 400,000 rand loan, and we're given an interest of 5%. Then we're asked to calculate the monthly mortgage payments, and then we're also asked to determine the capital and interest payments to the bank at the end of 2 months. Cool. So to calculate the monthly payment, we use this equation over here, this one here, and P is going to be your principal. So for the first month, or rather, in total the principal is going to be 400,000. R is going to be your rate, your interest rate, which is going to be 5%, and then N is going to be the number of payments you make each year. So we're paying per month, so it's 12 payments per year. And then T is going to be your time period. We're given a time period of 30 years. So you just substitute everything into this equation, and then you'll get an answer of 2,147 Rand per month. So that's the amount you're paying per month. And then we also want the capital, or the principal, and the interest payments to the bank at the end of the second month. So for month 1, this is the amount we have to pay, right? And we want to figure out how much is going into interest and how much is actually going into paying off our loan, right? So interest payments is given by this equation, which is P times I/12, right? Where P is your principal for the given month. So for this month, for month 1, right, you have this total amount. You've paid nothing towards paying off your debt, right? So you're going to plug in 400,000 multiplied by that, and then you can see that you have 1,666.67. That's the amount that has gone off to interest. None of this has been put into paying your loan, right? So if you say, because you're making a payment of 2,147 a month, you can say this minus that. That will give you the amount that was actually put towards paying your debt, right? Which is going to be 480.62, right? So for month 2, we need to then subtract that amount that was gone into paying off our debt. So our principal then becomes 399,519.38 thousand. What? Hey, yeah, that number. That's embarrassing. Anyways, the interest payment is going to be this, right? But now our principal changes because we've put some amount towards paying the debt, right? Cool. So it's going to lower by a tiny bit. So substitute everything, calculate, and then we get that now 1,664 has gone into paying off interest, and then the remainder has gone off into paying the loan. Yeah. So to calculate the capital for this month, we're going to say this number here, the amount that we started with, subtracted by the amount that went into interest. That will be the capital, right? And then they want the total interest, basically, that was paid off. So the interest for month 1 plus the interest for month 2. And yeah, that's it.